Hello Reapers, my name is Seth and we are back again for some Trove. Today we're going to be doing one of the most overdue tutorials that I should have put out a very long time ago in the loot collector and how you actually buy back items. So I have actually talked about this more specifically in videos that talk about the updated loot collector, which this is already years old and a standard for console players, but back in the day you would have to actually loot collect items one at a time and your inventory was full and it was just an absolute mess. So with the way that the loot collector works now, this video is more specifically focused at the people that accidentally loot collect items that they didn't necessarily want to get rid of. There's going to end up being this little buyback option, which can end up being a little bit difficult for console players to notice because of course you don't have the ability to use your mouse, but you just click on this thing right here and you're going to be able to see all of the items that you ended up loot collecting within a 24-hour period. So after 24 hours, this whole menu just gets completely wiped. But in the meantime, so long as you have the resources that you ended up getting from loot collecting the item, you're going to be able to buy back or kind of recreate the item that you ended up just loot collecting, right? Because I've had it happen too many times where people have said, oh, I accidentally ended up loot collecting a stellar drop or loot collecting shadow items and stuff like that. Like right here, this is something that I ended up grinding just the other day, and you can see a stellar face. So if you ever run into the problem where you accidentally end up loot collecting something, don't worry, you can just buy it right back. Now that's the thing to keep in mind is if you end up loot collecting a stellar face, for example, just right here, and then you end up selling the stellar soul, you're not going to be able to buy this back until you have another stellar soul in your inventory. It's not like it's item ID locked. You're not going to have that specific stellar soul in order to buy back this specific item. You just have to have a stellar soul in your inventory. And it's as simple as bloop, there we go. We've already got it right back in our inventory, safe and unharmed. And then you can end up just locking it right back up, because that's another thing too, is if you ever end up having your own personal gear of stellar gear, just because so many times I've heard people saying, I loot collected my stellar gear, all of the stellar gear is automatically going to end up starting locked. You have to specifically unlock it in order to loot collect it, and then it's going to end up loot collecting the whole entirety. But it is important to point out that while we actually unlock this piece of gear, loot collect it, and then we end up buying it back, it stays unlocked. So just be sure if you end up buying back like some type of gear or some type of an item, you're going to have to manually lock it back up. And the lock is going to end up staying account bound. So no matter what, if you log out and log back in, it's not going to end up unlocking the item or anything like that. It's not going to refresh the system and be like, whoops, I accidentally just unlocked it. So just keep that in mind. Again, I just wanted to put this out as a very brief tutorial to let you all know about this, because this has been something that has been an issue for a very long time with lots of players, and I'm sorry that I got this tutorial as late as I did. But in any case, better late than never, right? Sign on, stay epic, everybody.